What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Empire Radio Podcast. I'm Andrew,
I'm Jeremiah.
I'm Drew.
and today we are we're going to be tackling the monstrosity that is the Star Wars Holiday Special.
Yep.
Yep. So, but before
Jeremiah's not talking.
before we get into that, we do have a few things. One, we've got some news, and the news is that the Book of Boba Fett,
Boba Fett?
praise the Lord, is not season 3 of The Mandalorian.
I was wrong, and if you guys
Yes,
don't know
you
what I'm
were.
talking about, go listen to the last episode that we recovered of the Mandalorian podcast, which we have had some comments from our listeners that I forgot that we should probably mention. Which one of you guys responded to that listener? Was it you, Andrew, or was it Jeremiah?
Oh, about the
How we forgot to
Bo-
mention something?
Bo-Katan and
Boba? Yeah.
Yep. Just pointing out. He pointed out that we didn't talk about Bo-Katan and Boba's interaction about.
How she said that he wasn't a Mandalorian. He said, I never said I was.
Yeah,
And we kind of dropped the ball there. So,
it's kind of a significant thing, but
yeah,
Well,
our bad.
yeah. That's
But
bad.
yeah, I was wrong. I was ranting and raving how this was the new Mando, and I was wrong, and I will take that L. And I'm happy I'm wrong. Let's be real. I am happy.
I'm happy.
You're happy I'm
you're
wrong too? Thanks. Thanks.
because I was really hoping that it wasn't. Because like I had a buddy of mine, Sam. Shout out if you're listening.
Oh,
Sam.
Sam.
I don't know if Sam's listening to our podcast. I did tell him about the podcast, but I don't know if he listens. But we had literally, I'm like the guy he goes to geek out about Star Wars, and he'll Instagram message me.
And then you tell him to just go
And,
listen to the podcast because you already talked about it.
No,
Oh, that's what I do.
no.
When everyone asks me questions, I had to send them a link. I don't ever answer questions anymore because
Hey,
I've already
dude.
talked about it. So I'm going to send you my link, and then you can listen to that conversation that you had.
Wow. Well, anyways, so I answer his questions. You didn't just, please tell me you didn't just dab.
I just dabbed
Oh
on
my
that
God.
conversation.
Anyways, so I answer his questions. And one of the things that we actually ended up talking about was how we both did not want Boba Fett to become the new main character of the Mandalorian itself, how we weren't ready for Din Djarin to take a back seat. And so literally the next day was when we got that announcement. So we got that announcement, what? Was it yesterday? Or Sunday? It was yesterday.
No, it
wasn't
was Monday morning, I think.
it was yesterday. Yeah, it was yesterday.
Hey, Tanner's back
I saw
in the
that.
chat, and he said that man just dabbed. That's
Yes.
awesome.
Yes, I did.
So anyways, all of that to say, the Book of Boba Fett is, you heard it here, probably not first, but it is its own thing. Jeremiah mentioned that he saw a headline that it might be 4 episodes. It's like a limited
Yeah.
series.
Yeah,
And we're theorizing that it's going to run right up into the beginning of season 3 of the
Now,
Mandalorian,
if
which-
it is 4 episodes and that's it, I guess I'll take it. I'll probably say that. I'm going to say this now because I know I will say this in the future, but it's going to be the best 4 episodes of anything that's ever came out in all of Star Wars. I'm just going to say that now
I
because
feel like you're mocking me because I said it every week about the last 4 episodes of season 7 of Clone Wars.
I mean,
I'll
I wasn't
admit-
going to not mock you, but that kind of makes sense. So we could say I was mocking you, but I'm just saying because it's about Boba Fett and on Tatooine. So
here's the thing.
I'm just going to put it in right now. Put it in my
Here's the thing.
cards.
You're going to be wrong when Obi-Wan Kenobi comes out.
No, Cobb Vanth is going to come and kill Boba and take the armor back. That's what's going to happen.
And he's going to make a
How
smart
dare
comment
you
about
don't
how
say that?
he got a free paint job out of it.
Yeah,
That would almost be worse than the holiday
and
special we're
a
going to
real
talk
rocket
about.
launcher on it, like
Okay.
Yeah.
not
All right.
his
So,
Yankee bootleg ones that he got. from
Yankee
Australia.
bootleg win. You heard it here first. Jeremiah.
all joking aside here, I'm excited
You
for
were
it.
joking?
Okay.
Yeah, I was. Anyways, okay, so it's its own thing.
Yeah.
It's been confirmed it's its own thing. December 2021.
Yep.
Mandalorian season 3 is still projected to drop on Christmas Day. We don't know that for sure. But
I
that's
think it is.
is it
but
confirmed?
Well, it's
I've
not confirmed. It
seen
says
multiple things.
Christmas time.
Yeah. So, yeah. So that's our news. That's the big Star Wars news that we're going to discuss today. The other, yes,
I was
Drew.
gonna say the other news. Hasbro. I'm not gonna talk about this too much because I've been told not to talk about toys too much or stuff like that. But Hasbro Pulse did announce the Darksaber, and I think it's actually worth mentioning because we haven't got a saber that looks like this, and I'm pretty excited for it because a lot of the blades are all kind of becoming the same similar blade, and this one is completely different design, and even the mechanics on how it goes in and stuff is different. So I think it's worth mentioning.
Well, yeah. It
And
has to be.
exactly, and I honestly, I need to buy it. So if you guys want to start funding my Darksaber collection, I can send you guys a Venmo where you guys can help pay for me to have it. It's only $250, so yeah.
Did you really just do that?
Yep. I did.
Yep.
Okay.
So I'm not gonna actually buy it. I'm just kidding. You guys don't have to fund it.
Just don't
Yeah.
buy a Star Wars store for like 2 weeks, and you'll have all your
Yeah.
money saved up
No,
to get it.
no,
So, like,
I will.
dang.
I will get it
Jeremiah,
somehow. But
that was a
I mean,
that was
he's
a
not wrong.
that was a jab.
He's not
That was a
wrong.
very well played jab.
No, jab, not dab.
Oh, that's a dab. Well, I did it anyway. Whatever.
Literally have people
All right.
in our Twitch. If you guys want to watch our podcast live, you can go to twitch.tv/Empire
Yep.
Radio. But people are commenting right now and saying, not after the dab I did previously, no one's going to donate me money. So I accept that. I accept
wouldn't.
that. But Jeremiah just dabbed with me, so.
I didn't do it with you. I did it at you. There's a difference.
No, come on. You've done it before me
difference.
before.
Anyway.
Okay, whatever. We're getting.
Anyways, speaking
this is a
of
crazy-
Jeremiah, I was not aware of this, but Drew apparently got him something special for Christmas.
No, for the holiday special. It's not Christmas
for
around
the
here.
holiday.
This is Star
I'm
Wars.
sorry. He got Jeremiah something special for the holiday special.
Life
Text
Day.
you gave me said Christmas in it though.
Okay, that's just a text. It's for Life Day.
Okay.
which was in November.
Don't judge. I'm a little late, dude. I've been buying a
gosh.
bunch
Anyways,
of other
so-
things.
Look, we're gonna take a quick moment. Jeremiah's gonna do an opening of his present really quickly.
Yeah.
In the middle of the podcast on our Twitch stream,
Yep.
and in the future,
and on
it'll be on YouTube. It'll be on YouTube. So those of you that are watching video wise with us live or on YouTube, you'll get to see this. And those of you listening to the podcast, you'll just get to hear
Well,
him
you can also go back on YouTube and click.
open wrapping paper. Yeah.
I'll just try to make the paper really loud in the.
What?
Is this gonna turn into like an ASMR video?
Yeah, Chris.
Oh.
Now it's not something intense, Jeremiah.
I'm
It's
pretty
just
sure I know what
Jeremiah,
it is,
It's
but
just something
Jeremiah.
fun, but
You did that as if you knew what you were doing already.
well, he has a secret.
I know of those videos. Like
Oh.
I know of them.
Is-
The fact that
is
you
now
said
the
it
time to
means
tell
that you
us?
know about them too, and you were really impressed by how quality I did it. So who's the one that's listening to ASMR
How
videos?
did this? Just open your present. Okay.
So here it is. I'm pretty sure this is a pop,
Hey, just open
but
it.
so there's nice red bow on there. So and it's dinosaur wrapping paper. So that's pretty cool.
Is it
You're
because
the-
you're old?
You're the T-Rex in my heart.
Okay. Well, that doesn't make any sense, but sure.
Boom! And it's an Ahsoka.
Oh
pop.
boy,
Hey, that's pretty cool. Okay.
that is pretty cool.
First ever pop. So is this like
That one is pretty.
Clone Wars? Or
Yeah,
what?
that's
Is it-
Clone Wars Season 7, Ahsoka.
Oh,
That's-
that's
Does
pretty
she have her
cool.
lightsabers?
She does have
Yeah,
two of
two-
them out.
Oh, it is because it has the blue sabers on
Yep.
it. So yes, it's
And if you look on the
Yeah.
back, Jeremiah, it tells you the other ones in the collection. And yeah.
And Drew has them all.
Nope, not yet. I'm trying.
so you got Ahsoka, Darth Maul, Gar Saxon, Bo-Katan, and Wrecker.
Mm-hmm. I do
Yeah.
not have them all. But
Oh, thank
Well,
you, Drew.
Jeremiah, Congratulations. Welcome to the Pop family.
I just know, like, if you guys are listening to this, you guys know that Jeremiah doesn't buy anything for himself. Also, doesn't buy any. He doesn't have a lot of big Star Wars collection. And I thought, like, Pops are cool, but also it's Ahsoka, which is like his Star Wars girlfriend. So I think it would have been appropriate to give him his first Pop to be Ahsoka, and he could open it and like he doesn't care about the box or whatever, and he can have it on his TV stand or whatever. It's cool. I thought you would appreciate it.
Tanner in the comments said, "Cue holographic concert because Life Day."
Yes.
Which we'll get into later.
Yes. But we're also not going to
okay.
read every comment. Okay, Andrew? We got to focus on the podcast.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm having fun. So, speaking of the podcast, so Jeremiah's opened his gift. We're all excited. Woo!
Yeah, Jeremiah, did you guess it was, did you think it was going to be Ahsoka?
Yeah.
What? Okay.
Why wouldn't it be? Well, what are you gonna give me, like?
It's hard. Ahsoka is
Goku
rare.
or something like that?
Okay,
I don't know
Ahsoka
anything
is
about
hard to
that.
get.
Is it?
Yeah, let me tell you the price. Oh, we'll just do the podcast. I'll text you.
No, don't. Why would you do?
You want to know how much
anyways.
that Pop is currently going for?
No, you never tell
Well,
the
if
price.
you tell me it's so high, I might just sell it on
Okay,
eBay
never
and
mind.
make
I'm
it
not
back.
going to tell
So,
you. Yeah, no. Let's just enjoy your gift. You're welcome.
So, speaking of gifts, one of the things that I would recommend, it's a little too late at this point, recording this on the 22nd, to try to find a Christmas gift. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you can get it here. But if you're looking for a gift in the future, one thing I would recommend is looking, especially for the Star Wars fan in your life, at cufflinks.com. They have a bunch of really, really great Star Wars, officially licensed Star Wars products. And we are going to take a brief moment here to hear about them and what they do, and hear about a really unique way that you can save some money if you're going to buy some Star Wars products. So without further ado, let's take a listen to a little short message about the sponsor, one of the sponsors of today's episode, cufflinks.com. All right. Head over there, check them out, check out their stuff. They've got some great stuff. Empire 15, capital E, no space, 15. Empire 15 is going to get you 15% off with no minimum purchase, which is pretty cool. Because they do have a lot of really cool stuff that if I had more money, like I would invest in for sure.
100%.
Okay. Yeah. So we're here. For those of you watching in any capacity, you know that I have a different background than I normally do.
And Jeremiah's shaking his head no.
I can already feel how much Jeremiah enjoyed this thing. So we're going to talk about the Star Wars Holiday Special. I'm hoping this will be a reoccurring yearly discussion where we do something fun with it every year. But for the first year, we're going to just discuss it in a similar manner to.
I'll just keep my notes on file so I can just.
You have
so,
no.
I watched
that's
it
the
again.
Best part about
Yeah.
that.
Well, Drew and I, for those of you that don't know, Drew and I did stream on Twitch. We streamed ourselves watching this live about an hour ago. And we're probably going to make that a yearly occurrence. So
maybe next year Jeremiah will join us, and then we can just all watch it together.
I'm sorry, I work late during Christmas week. I can't do that.
Oh, okay.
Well, at the very least, Drew and I will be here, and we're going to do it every year, apparently. So you can't do it this year. You already missed it. But 364...
it will be up on YouTube, so you can't go back and watch it.
It will be. But this is a beloved piece of Star Wars history. I can't say that with a straight face. So before we dive into the breakdown, scene by scene, that stuff, I do want to give a very brief snapshot of the history of this thing. So 1977 happens. Star Wars was not thought that it was going to do very well. Nobody thought it was going to do well, but as we know, it had like an 18-week runtime in theaters or something like that at number one. Anyways, it was huge. It was a huge success. Star Wars blew up. Nobody was expecting it. Some of you might know this if you know a little bit about the toy history, but that first holiday season, they had no action figures ready.
Mhm.
And so they did some selling. It was essentially an IOU. You bought like a voucher for action figures, and
Bought
they
a
would release
card.
them as
Yeah.
on a card. Yeah.
Mhm.
And they would release them as they were produced. And so the hype definitely led into 1978, the following year, and then Empire Strikes Back began production. Well, in an attempt to keep the hype about Star Wars alive, as any director would, George Lucas was like, "Well, we need to do something," and he gave the green light to CBS to produce this holiday special. The big catch was that he was not involved, which is
Clearly.
very evident. Pretty clear. But he was not involved.
But it was produced and directed by Ryan John. What? Oh no, that's something else. Sorry.
Gosh darn it.
Sorry. That's
Let me tell you something. I am rewatching the sequels. The Last Jedi was not as bad as I remember it being.
It does get better every single time I watch it, but
But then again, you just watched the holiday special, so.
Anyways, so George Lucas was not involved. There was apparently an all-star team of people that were in the showbiz, like the television variety show business, that were a part of this. But George Lucas was nowhere near as involved as he was with the films and the other world building that happened after the fact in the expanded universe and so on and so forth. So this was produced and it aired November 17th, 1978, the very first Life Day. It aired once and was never seen again.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep. So they never aired it again. It never aired on television, on like as a special, nothing. Like,
So if you
of course
missed
it's
it,
on the
you
internet.
missed it.
Yes. And if it's, and they're bootleg copies, which by the way, I found out, Drew, there's a copy on YouTube that has the commercials in it.
Damn it.
But the quality is terrible.
Aww.
It's so bad.
I was going to say next year. Next year's our year. But
Yeah.
how did they record it back in the day?
Dude, VCR.
Dude,
Did they have VCR back then?
yes, dude. Have you ever watched that 70 show? That was like the big thing. That was like
I've seen clips, but I've never really watched.
That's like the big thing that they got a VCR was one of the episodes.
Yeah, if you saw the holiday special and saw the inside of Chewie's house, you've basically seen that 70 show.
Yep.
So
honestly, the fire pit is in the back room in that 70 show, like 100%.
So November 17th, 1978, this airs on national television. It was a 2-hour special with commercials. The entire original cast was a part of this. For those of you that don't know, Han, Luke, Leia, Chewie, Anthony Daniels came back as C-3PO. Kenny Baker was not given credit for being R2-D2, but I would imagine he would have been R2-D2.
Yeah, that was kind of shitty when they said
Remember the
R2
opening
as
thing
R2.
Yeah.
It's pretty savage.
But the interesting thing is that Lucas's name is nowhere to be found in the credits. He was not credited with this at all.
Which is good for him.
He has said, in hindsight, that if he could, he would, and I quote, smash every single copy with a sledgehammer. End quote.
Which is reasonable.
Yeah. So Lucas,
I'd pay money to see him do that. Like,
yeah,
that'd be cool.
Lucas was very upset with this thing in hindsight,
which is why it never aired again.
Because no one would ever want to watch it again. That's why.
Right.
Well, joke's on you. We're watching it every year until we die. So.
I think that was part of it because it was so, as we'll talk about, so far removed from the actual, like, the feeling of Star Wars. Now, to be fair, the world building wasn't there yet, right?
Yeah.
So they didn't have the same importance. They didn't have the same weight to their decisions. They didn't have like all of the things that we have now that really define the feeling of Star Wars and the sound, of Star Wars and everything. But for Lucas, who had everything in his mind, he had this plan, which we know ended up spanning into 7, 8, and 9 from the get-go. Like, he looked at that and he's like, no. He does that thing where he like shakes his head and I'm not going to talk about it. Anyways, um, so that's kind of a brief. It's kind of a brief rundown of the holiday special, and we're going to find out here very quickly why many consider it to be the worst Star Wars media ever created.
Question.
I could argue that that's not the case.
I've never
because,
seen the Ewok thing, so
yeah, the Ewok stuff's pretty bad. It's pretty bad, but that's another podcast episode. Okay, so
Question.
I would like to give all of the listeners, instead of doing our thoughts first, I would like to give all the listeners a brief rundown of the plot and some of the things that happen so that they have context if they haven't seen it.
To
For
go
the inevitable
watch,
discussion.
just go watch it right now and then come back
YouTube.
an
There's
hour
one
and
that's like
40
a high
minutes
quality
later.
one that's like 4 million views.
Yeah,
If you wanted to watch it and follow along on the Twitch stream, you can do that.
you can.
So
So let's do a brief rundown of the plot. Okay, so the whole thing, the whole like story is Han and Chewie trying to get home to Chewie's family so that he can celebrate Life Day with the other Wookiees on Kashyyyk.
Oh gosh.
I say that because there's one Imperial officer that says Kashyyyk as Kashyyyk in this. Don't know how he got that pronunciation. Maybe it hadn't been written down yet. I don't know, but I'll tell you one thing.
Well, I thought we heard the right pronunciation before. Didn't Luke call it the right? They definitely pronounced it right, and then he pronounced it wrong.
Yeah,
Oh, he did?
probably.
Yeah.
I mean, the pronunciations were all over the place in this thing.
Yeah.
Right. But anyway, plot.
So
The plot.
it starts off, Han and Chewie are trying to get back to Kashyyyk for Life Day. They run into the Empire. It's classic. They get delayed because they run into the Empire. It then goes through the cast. So it gives you this scene where they like set it up, and then it goes through the cast in a typical 1978 fashion where there's sparkles and fades and wipes and stuff that are very much 70s. So it opens up with the scene, this long scene in Chewbacca's home on Kashyyyk. It's a house surrounding the trunk of a tree way up high in the forests of Kashyyyk. And there's this whole scene where we're introduced to the characters of Mala, his wife, Lumpy, his son, Itchy, his father. So we have a granddad, we have Chewie, his wife, and his son as a family unit in this thing, but Chewie's not there. And Lumpy's just playing around with a wooden X-Wing. He's doing kid stuff in the living room. Mala is very clearly trying to prepare a meal, and Lumpy is just sitting there in a recliner, basically. And there's very little that's actually notable about this first scene.
Well, considering none of it. Oh, yeah.
I was going to say, except for the fact that there are no subtitles. So to paint a picture for those of you that haven't seen this, think about 10 to 12 minutes at the very beginning of this thing where there are Wookiees communicating in Shriwook, no subtitles. They're just grunting and growling at each other. There's no context for any of it. So you have to rely on like their arm gestures and, stuff that they're doing to try to figure out what's going on. It's very weird. And the music is very cheesy and stuff. There's a moment where Lumpy goes outside and he's like walking like a tightrope on the banisters around his house, hundreds and hundreds of feet up in the air, so he could die. But the next big notable thing is that at one point, Itchy the grandpa says, "How about we go watch this thing over here? Let me give you something to entertain you." And he takes Lumpy to what looks just like a hollow chest table from the Millennium Falcon. And then he puts in a card, and we get our first feature in the variety show, and that is a holographic, it's supposed to be holographic, circus. No dialogue, just cheesy circus music, and terrible alien costumes. Like this isn't Mos Eisley Cantina level stuff. Like we're not talking animatronics or full makeup. We're talking.
The thing is, are these supposed to be aliens, or
Yeah.
is it humans just in circus costumes? Like, what are they trying to be? Is it
it looked like they wanted them to be aliens, but because of the mobility they had to have, they didn't put them in like full costumes. So it's a lot of like brightly colored spandex. Then there's like some orange dudes that have like
you want to know what they
bulb
look like?
things.
Like if a human in a chocobo from Final Fantasy, is that what they're called?
Yeah.
They look like they had together.
Have you played Final Fantasy?
I've played 8 and 10.
You haven't played 7 or 12?
No,
I mean, 7's the only one worth playing.
I didn't even know it was a thing. Like
no, 12 is great.
I thought 8 was amazing. That was one of my favorite video games.
7 was so good, dude. But anyways,
well,
let's talk about
that
bad
Final
things.
Fantasy, our Final Fantasy podcast. Anyways, so it's just like think about a bunch of people in like morph suits and bad makeup and like random elements on top of their costumes, and they're like doing somersaults and flips and they're balancing on each other. Like it's like a 5-minute scene where there's no dialogue. It's just again straight music,
and then Lumpy watching it.
Yeah,
intently.
That's it. That's all you're missing. It's like the first segment in a variety show where it's a circus. It's like a low grade circus act. So then after that gets done, let's see. I wrote more in-house shenanigans. And then the next point was the freaking circus. And then Mala checks traffic control. There's no sign of Han and Chewie. And
traffic
then
control.
They check in.
Jesus.
Yep,
in English on the
traffic control. Yeah. To be fair, they were very limited by their technology because the console she's using is like it's literally like a computer, like a desktop computer with like an extra console of buttons sitting off to the side that probably don't do anything. You know, it's like, oh, this looks like Star Wars, you know. But when you've seen the Death Star in A New Hope, and like when they still the Stormtrooper outfits, and they're in that control room, and there's just like walls of buttons and lights and stuff, it looks a little underwhelming.
I'm really sad we weren't able to watch Jeremiah's reaction.
All we got was a Discord message that says, "I'm 4 minutes in, and I already want to stop watching this."
Well, Jeremiah told me today too that he had to do it in like 30-minute segments because he couldn't sit through the whole thing.
It took me 2 days. And the thing is,
everyone,
you guys had to watch it together and interact with fans in Twitch.
Yes, we did.
During it, it's like it would have been more bearable if I did, but I was here by myself in my apartment,
forced to watch something.
Do this homework basically that I don't want to do.
Yeah. I try to get you to watch it with us, Jeremiah.
He was working.
No, I know.
Okay, so after they check with traffic control, they check in with Luke. So this is kind of the format. It's like variety show segment. Here's a cameo from one of the cast members. Here's some small plot development. Here's another variety show segment. Here's another cameo. Here's some more development. It was like that in order almost. So we see Luke.
Super weird.
Okay, I was gonna say if you guys,
it was his makeup.
If
you
guys
want to know who he looked like, he reminded me. Have you watched the Brady Bunch?
No, I mean I know what it is. I've just never spent time.
He reminded me of Alice, the 60-year-old maid in the show.
Oh my gosh!
You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
Also, like, if you guys complained, people are like complaining about how the Leia in Rogue One was better looking than Luke and the Mandalorian. Go watch this and tell me which Luke is better. Because we all know the fake Luke looks better than the real Luke in real life.
Here's what we have to keep in mind.
Dang.
This is before his accident. So for those of you that don't know, between episodes 4 and 5, he got in a car accident and his
I
face.
thought that was in 1977 though. His accident.
If it was,
and because someone
they covered it with makeup.
That would actually make
it.
more sense why he was so covered up.
Well, he was wearing a frick ton of makeup, and he had
eyeliner on.
He had eyeliner on that made a lot of like emo bands look bad.
So I wonder if that's why he had that much makeup on.
Maybe
that would actually make more sense.
Luke and R2 in this scene they're working on an engine, and they check in, and he's like, "Oh, Han and Chewie aren't there yet? What? They'll be there soon. I'm sure of it. Cheer up, guys!" And then there's this awkward moment,
the smile thing.
Yeah, where he's like, "Come on, Mala, let's see a smile," and then her smile. It looks like her soul is crying out in pain. It doesn't look like a smile, but of course she's wearing, like a Wookiee mask, and so there's a limited amount of mobility in which she smiles.
Okay, can we comment on the Wookiee costumes? Because for a child Wookiee, I guess it looked fine.
Yeah,
but his wife. Didn't even look like an adult. Like
she looked fine to me.
No, because her the face structure was because Chewie has more of like a straight face, I guess you could say. But her she was kind of like a chimpanzee with how her jaw and nose protruded out.
Wookiees look differently, Jeremiah. Come on.
Now, Jeremiah, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
About Mala. Is she the same Wookiee that Chewie saves in Solo? Okay.
No, because there's literally 500 pounds difference between those.
Hey,
two.
But you got to think that's before she put on her weight and got her hair back. That was the slave
before
Mala.
She pushed out Lumpy.
Yeah, that's the slave Mala. This is a healthy Mala who lives in her hut in the sky. That was slave Mala. Okay. There's a difference.
Can we just the phrase that you just said before she pushed out Lumpy? It's really funny to me. I found that very amusing. Good job, Jeremiah.
And then seriously, Itchy, what was up with his bottom jaw?
He's
covering half his face. He closed his mouth and his face was covered with his bottom jaw.
He had an underbite with no teeth.
Dude, okay, he was. They were trying to make him like a caricature of your.
They trying to make him old.
You're going for it, but it's no.
Oh, we're not even to his best part. Okay.
The thing is, if
we're not even.
How old is Itchy? Because if Chewie is.
Oh, he's old.
200 years old.
Hold on. Jeremiah, I'm gonna stop you.
It's not. Why are you making this real?
not for this. I'm all about talking about ages in legitimate Star Wars stuff, but let's just go with it.
Don't ask questions, Jeremiah.
So listen. They talk to Luke. There's an awkward smile thing. They're done. And then Itchy checks in. He gives a call to the trading outpost guy.
That scene.
His name, I wrote it down. Something with a Z. It's not worth mentioning.
I mean, he was in most of this show though.
He was 4 characters in the show.
Yeah, he was.
Was he really?
He was he was the cook lady.
No. That was a different guy.
No, because in the opening credits, they introduced one character and actor as 3 characters, and one of them was that cook lady.
He's talking about what's his name?
The 4-armed cook lady
Foreman?
was the same as the shop owner.
I know it was the same as the weird robot guy, the 4-armed lady, and there was another one.
I'm gonna look it up right now.
Oh, I guess I just mixed them all together. But
I will tell you that for someone, if someone hasn't seen this, the fact that we're he was the cyborg guy, the 4-armed lady, and people are what the frick? We'll get there. Okay, So they call the general store guy, and he walks in. My favorite thing is he walks in and sees an Imperial Guard, and he's like, "Oh, look, it's an Imperial Guard." Like it would be like if I walked in to Drew's living room like we used to when I lived in the same state and we were recording, and I walked in I'm like, "Oh, look, it's Drew and Jeremiah." It's like, what? That's
And
so
his
freaking weird.
mustache.
Huh?
The Imperial Guard's mustache.
Oh, he had a great. That was like the best 70s mustache I've seen in a while.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
You know, in all the 70s mustaches that I know of. I'm sure Tom Selleck had a great one at that point, I'm sure.
That's definitely top 5 70s mustaches for me, for sure.
So the whole point of this scene is apparently there's this general store, like a trading outpost on Kashyyyk, and there's an Imperial Guard in there, and he just tries to sell him stuff, and he ends up pulling out this thing that's like supposed to be this space instrument, but really it's literally a freaking electric toothbrush with a long handle. And he's like, it dices, it slices, it yada, yada, yada. It's like this whole rhyming thing. It's so stupid. It does a million things. And then he sees that he's got a call from Itchy. He talks to Itchy, ends up getting on with Mala. And they go through this terrible, like, that shag carpet that you ordered that was made by hand. Someone might say it was made solo. Like, you're talking about freaking Chewbacca and Han Solo. Shut up. Like... So they talk about that. He's like, I'm sure he'll be here on the way. He'll be here soon or whatever. And he goes back and the Imperial Guard's like, I think I'll take this. And the shopkeeper's like, sure, what would you like to pay with? And he's like, no, I think I'll take this. And then he just walks away. But my favorite thing is you got the big leather belt around the center of his outfit. And it's just sticking out. Like he didn't even try to shove it into his actual belt. It's just sticking out like this. When you watch him walk away. I thought that was really funny. So that's done. There's a little scene in a general store. That's done. Then we have the cooking bit.
Yep.
So this was meant. So Mala turns on a cooking show to aid her in preparing her dish, which involves bantha meat. For
it's weird that it's such a are banthas off Tatooine? Like, are they
their meat is?
Okay, Jeremiah, once again.
Jeremiah, this is the holiday special.
I'm trying to analyze this like a normal Star Wars thing.
This is yeah. We don't need to think about this too much. So she's making this dish, and she turns on the show, and it's supposed to be like a 70s cooking show where someone's walking you through how to do stuff in real time. Like we have them today, but it's the same thing. But first of all, it's a man dressed as a woman, but like, I'm not talking like a normal looking woman, like a very large, kind of more rotund woman. And her hair is just the largest gray curls, 2 big, massive curls rolled up together you've ever seen.
And it falls apart during the scene.
It does. It does fall apart. And it falls apart, and it's so bad. It looks so bad that you wonder, like, did they just not have time for a second take, or did they leave it?
Or did they like it?
Yeah. So, anyways, this cooking bit is it goes from 0 to 60 pretty fast, and there's this whole like rhythmic gag where she's like, stir, stir, wisp, wisp, stir, stir, da da da, and then all of a sudden, like her third arm comes out and a fourth arm comes out. She has 4 arms, and she's doing all these things. She's doing the most, and it gets really weird. And then Molly gets fed up, and she turns it off.
Okay, but I do want to mention real quick, when those hands came out, someone in our chat, what did they say, Andrew? That was freaking hilarious. They said that it reminded them, it was the first version of...
Oh, it was pre-droid General Grievous.
Yes.
I was like, nah, that was my brother-in-law. And I was like, no, he was cooler than this.
Or it could have been like, I always forget his name, the diner guy.
Yeah, Obi-Wan.
Dex.
Like, that was like his wife or something.
Yeah.
Like
and they're both chefs.
Oh, you heard it here first. Fan theory.
What if that's how Lucas was like,
No,
you know what? Out of
Drew,
everything in the
stop.
holiday
Drew,
special, I'm
Drew.
gonna take this character and make it Rex
Rex?
or Dex, whatever his name is.
Could be maybe it's Pong Krell's like grandmother or something like
This
that.
is getting out of hand. Dear Lord.
I'm trying to make it better, Andrew.
We just have fun, okay? Because the movie is terrible.
I cringe thinking about putting this into actual Star Wars canon.
True. That's fair.
It's funny because like
Obi-Wan!
the character, she gets so into it, or he gets so into it, where he's like, whoa! Like he starts making these like weird exclamatory noises. Anyways. So the cooking scene ends. She turns it off. Mind you, the whole time they're adding things into a pot. They're not cooking over a stove. They're not cooking with heat. It's literally putting raw meat and a bunch of ingredients into a pot. Like,
yeah, it is weird.
like, if that's your thing. Okay. So we get another scene.
Worst part of the whole movie.
That's the okay.
Well, the next scene is the VR scene. So this is the worst.
Oh no. We've got another scene before that. It's a brief scene with Han and Chewie. And they're like, oh no, we came out of hyperspace in a convoy of Imperial fighters. I guess we're delayed again.
Oh,
and
also, I didn't mention this earlier, but their cockpit was definitely like they took the box that a refrigerator comes in and like drew in the background and sat inside it.
It was bad.
It wasn't even the same like dimensions. It was like
that's what I said. That was
small.
the first thing I said. I'm like, this cockpit is horrible.
It's like
and all of the footage is from A New Hope.
Right, from the space.
Like they recycled footage.
It's the best part of this entire thing is the recycled footage of the New Hope, in my opinion. But
right.
Yeah.
Is Andrew there?
No, I think Andrew crashed, you guys. Because he's also off a Zencaster.
Uh-oh.
Chat, this is the first ever that Andrew has crashed. But it seemed like, look at his face. He's frozen. It's a good look, though. We can take that. Chat, I appreciate that there's 5 of you guys watching this right now.
Are we still... we're still recording.
Yeah, we're still recording, but he is not in here. He left. So let's just keep recording so he doesn't lose a thing. Anyways, we'll just keep the podcast going for you.
Well, chat. I do have a scene by scene thing anyway, in my notes, and so,
John Piper 2020, big RIP.
But so it goes back to the house on Kashyyyk, and the shop owner comes to the house and gives gifts to Itchy, Lumpy, and the Nala or Mala with an M or N? Mala with an M?
It's Mala. Not Nala, because that's Lion King.
Right, Mala. And so he brings gifts to the 3 of them for Life Day and shows his concern about, Chewie will still be here, blah, blah, blah. And so he gives a toy, a thing, like a big box to Lumpy, and he runs upstairs and to do his thing. And then...
to his room. He ran to his room.
Which is upstairs. And then he gives one to Itchy, which is... We'll talk about that next. And then the gift that he gives to Mala, we don't really find out what it is until later.
But it looks like a boombox.
Something like it's a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but we'll say Lumpy's thing first. But his gift, he opens it up and we don't know what it looks like. One of those old school like laptops, like the first generation laptop that weighed like 50 pounds. We didn't know what it is really.
Granted, they didn't even have laptops back then.
No, so
they're kind of telling the future.
Yeah,
a little bit.
And so,
Andrew wrote, by the way, that he is working on coming back. So there's
All right.
your update.
All right, and so he's opening it. We don't know what it is. He dumps out a bunch of parts. We don't know what it is. It goes back. So then, but Itchy's thing.
I feel like we can't mention this until Andrew gets back.
Oh, I don't know. Should we skip it until we come back?
Yeah, what's after?
Well, after that is we see Leia and C-3PO for the first time.
Oh, true.
And so she thinks that Han and Chewie made it to Kashyyyk already, or should have been there by now.
Mm-hmm.
But Ma's like, no, they haven't. And so this was just terrible acting by Carrie Fisher. Like, it was just an awkward.
Yeah.
Like, most of this movie was like.
Well, even Han's reaction, though, we never mentioned how bad his acting was.
You
could tell he did not want to be there. He did not want to be there. And when me and Andrew were streaming this earlier, he was.
We have.
Oh.
A,
Hello there.
Yellow.
Oh, and it's recording, so we can still.
We're back. So we were continuing the show since I had my notes.
And I just want I want everyone to know I'm about to join the chat or the video here in a second.
What happened?
The fact that I had to turn my internet off on my computer and come back and that it was still recording.
Hey, mute yourself. There you go.
Was incredible.
All right. So we talked about how the shop owner came and gave gifts to everyone.
Yep.
And so we were about to deep dive into Itchy's gift. Drew was like, "No, we have to wait."
We had to save it for you.
Thank you. Thank
welcome.
you. For those of you that don't, did you guys talk about the fact that I just randomly everything just shut down?
Well,
Yeah,
our chat also talked about
We
it.
saw your face freeze, and then I didn't hear you say anything, and I clicked on Zencaster, and you were like faded out. Like,
yeah. So for those of you listening to the podcast, for whatever reason, my internet just shut down for a second, but now I'm back.
All right. So and then since we skipped a scene, we mentioned the Leia and C-3PO scene.
Oh,
now we can go back to
yeah,
Itchy's.
The Itchy and Scratchy show.
So Itchy, they have this machine. It's basically an Oculus,
but it's like a hair.
Yeah, it looks
dresser.
like a 50s hair.
Yeah.
Thing.
It was a combination of like a hairdryer and an Oculus, and the card that Zondan gives him is essentially a softcore adult thing.
But it wasn't like a pre-recorded thing, was it? Because yes, he does like a rewind thing, but it was also like, didn't it say a projection of his?
Dude, again,
No.
it doesn't.
No, I'm just saying like that's what it is though. Like it's a projection of what you desire. So like he
Probably.
So
it's either that or a tape. I don't know.
Because it also seemed like the old guy saw it himself too. Because he's saying you're gonna like.
Oh yeah, because he was like, yeah, it's a
banger.
It's one of those. I wouldn't have used that.
It's probably not the right words.
So, anyways, good old Diane Carroll shows up, and it gets really sensual really quickly, and just in the way she's talking to him.
She's very flirtatious in what she's saying.
Flirtatious is a mild word.
That's
it's
really
a tame
loose.
word for
Also,
what it is.
it looked
sure.
like the angle looked like she wasn't wearing clothes. Comes to find out, she was.
No, she was. She was.
But
she was.
no, but the first angle of her talking, it was just her, like
shoulders.
Her shoulders. Yeah.
It looked like she wasn't. Just so you.
Anyways, so she's talking to him, and she's like, I can, saying stuff like, I can tell you're excited. I find you adorable. There's like this really weird interaction going on, and it's one of those things that you just have to see it for yourself. Luckily, it is G. It's PG. It's G rated.
G.
It's
It
PG.
is.
It's not
at one
actually,
point, I was like, "Are we gonna get kicked off of Twitch because of this?"
It was like, but this is like 1978, so this was like PG-13 pushing
It was rough.
R back in 1978. But
Well, I will tell you that there is absolutely no nudity. It's not actually
No.
sexual. So it's one of those things that you should probably you should just go watch it for yourself.
Also, if this came
Uh,
out modern day, it would probably ruin that person's career.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no coming back
But
from that.
anyways,
but-
so she goes from talking fairly essentially to singing a full musical number about this moment that they're sharing together. And then it ends.
Jeremiah,
Now,
what was
keep
your
in
first
mind-
reaction when this was happening?
well, I knew of this scene, but I've never like watched it, obviously. So like I didn't know what to expect. I just didn't expect her to start singing out of nowhere. I thought it was.
That's fair. I didn't either.
I just thought it was gonna be like I didn't know how far they were gonna go with this Final Fantasy of Itchies. Like, so like I was like,
I think the best part is when he rewinds it because she says, what's the line?
I find you adorable.
He just kept rewinding that part, and then it like shows his reaction, and it's a little awkward.
but it
Your
was
daughter's in the same room. Come on.
Yeah, it was weird because like the juxtaposition of the way that she was talking to him and then a song, you know,
The
like
thing is, like all these performances like that we see, was it 3 performances?
yeah,
Like they just went so long. Like it just
yeah.
felt
Well, and that's the thing.
forever.
That's what I was gonna say. I said this to Drew when we were live streaming it, but it's so easy. Maybe it's not, but I would say in 1978 it would have been easy to be like, oh, it's a musical number. Cool. I've shifted gears in my mind. Now I'm watching a musical number, right? But if you put it in context, it is in the middle of the Star Wars holiday special. And you are literally watching a musical number that the only reason it's there is because of a weird fantasy of Chewbacca's father. Like that, you put that into a sentence, that's super
It's weird, dude. It
Like-
was the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life.
If you step back while you're watching this and go, no, this is supposed to be Star Wars. This is weird.
It is weird.
So, and that's for all of them. And
It's
like
for
you said, Jeremiah,
everything in this episode.
yeah, the length just keeps adding to it because you're like, oh, this would be like a short little 1 minute like Instagram song. No, like a freaking 4.5 minute, 4 minute musical number.
Like,
And then my favorite thing was the outros for all of the musical numbers were so painstakingly long. Like it felt like they faded out the music over the course of like a full 1.5 minutes.
yeah.
Like
It's
So-
like watching Saturday Night Live with like the music numbers in between it, but without it's
without
supposed
having
to be
good
funny.
performances.
Well, and it's not supposed to be a funny thing.
Right.
and the music is not great.
Well, that too. But back then it was like all that one rock band though. They kind of crushed it a little bit.
Jefferson Starship. Yeah, we'll get to that.
Come on, calm down.
So anyways, he ends his fantasy or whatever. You have that Leia and 3PO check-in scene. Han and Chewie then make it to Kashyyyk. They finally make it, and they're like, "Oh, there's a lot of Imperials. Better park up north and then walk so that they don't find us." Yada yada yada.
good for you.
Oh yeah. And then the Empire shows up.
And this is where the show just finally takes off. We get past the slow start, and then it's just
Dude, it's just uphill from here, man. It's so good. It was. I could not stop watching it because I was forced
Yeah.
to watch it because I was streaming. No, I'm just kidding.
So basically, the Empire shows up. A notable thing is that the stormtroopers are holding their E11s, one hand on the handle like they normally would, and then their left hand was around the power pack that sticks out of the left side of the gun. So it looked like they were using like a World War II machine gun, but it's an E11.
that's
You
what
just-
I was like. I was starting to question my memory of the original trilogy. I'm like, is this how they always held it?
Jeremiah
Oh,
was
wow,
like
dude.
questioning all of Star Wars for himself.
it-
I'm like, I don't even
it
remember
very
this.
much.
I was like, this is not good.
It felt like they got the stormtroopers, they got actors, and the actors had not seen. They were like the two people on the earth that hadn't seen A New Hope yet. They're like, yeah, just hold them how you think that they need to be held, and they're like, oh, this must be a handle. Like, first of all, we've all seen these. They're literally stubby rectangles. Like they don't even look like
They're
a
not
handle.
holdable. Like it's hard. It's harder. It's more hard. Is that even a word? It's a lot.
Harder is the
okay. Yes. I'm
It
questioning
can go either
everything.
way. I get what you're saying.
But anyways, like it's more work to hold it like that than to actually hold it underneath it.
Oh yeah. Oh, it is more work. Can you imagine aiming like that? Because you're like fishing almost.
Hey,
It's like the
maybe
same.
that's why there's such terrible shots. Is they're holding the weapon wrong?
Correct.
If they held it correctly, like these guys.
What if this is actually the way to do it?
Yeah, like what if they're like the best shots in like the whole galaxy? And that's why they sent him to that hut to find Chewie, because they knew he was a rebel person. Like,
yeah, you guys, you heard it here first. This is actually the proper way. Everyone else holds it wrong, and that's why the shot's horrible. I don't want to be associated
with this. You heard it here first. I don't know if I want to be associated with that.
Well, so like a lot of you heard it here first, guys. It doesn't turn out right. So
yeah, I think it would be funny if like to make fun of this, like in future TV shows, like Jon Favreau, he's a fan of the holiday special. Like he loves it. It'd be funny if one of his shows that he does, like there's like an episode where like
they hold it like that,
are like entering training or something like that, trying to fire a gun, and like they're holding it wrong, and like the instructor or sergeant guy comes by and like, you're holding it wrong, and makes them feel, like just like something like that. So
or
Jon
if they
Favreau,
all shoot good,
you got the idea from me. Give me a shout out.
If they all shoot well, holding it wrong, and then the guy says your guys are holding it wrong, and then they start shooting bad.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
I hope that never makes sense in Star Wars. But if it does, it'll be funny, at least.
Because we called it.
So the Empire shows up, and they're jerks. They're looking for Chewie, and he's like, on record, we have 2 adult males, an adult female, and a child. And he's like, where's the other adult male? And they're trying to find him. Zondar tries to sell them things, ID protectors, while they're in the house. And they're just being jerks to everyone. And then this is when, in the process of searching the house, one of the Imperial guards finds what looks like a very overly sized battleship game.
But this was Mala's gift that she received.
It was. That's correct. It was Mala's gift, and the Zondar is like, well, if you want to do it, at least let me show you how to do it so you don't break it. And so,
and I didn't even understand what he was doing. Like, what he was trying to accomplish by.
I don't think he knew.
Here's the thing. Okay, here's the thing that we have to understand about this. None of it makes sense. There's not a single moment. I would venture to say there's not a single moment that makes sense from start to finish, except for the parts where Han and Chewie are trying to get away from the Empire. Like, that makes sense. So the Imperial Guard sits down, and Zondar opens the thing, and he presses some buttons after doing a lot of comedic gestures in trying to stall for time, making sure the distance is okay and whatever. And then Jefferson Starship shows up, and as a hologram, it's just to be a holographic concert, and they begin to play a song. I don't know what the name of that song is, and now I want to know. But the song wasn't bad. Like, to me, this is probably going to be an unpopular opinion. Tanner said this is the best part, and I would argue that this is the best part. But the thing that I would say that might not be a popular opinion is it sounded like they were like a knockoff U2.
Yeah, I can see that.
Kind of. Anyways, it was a good song. It was a good song.
Weren't they before U2 came out?
Huh?
No. Well, I don't know. When did U2 start?
Because maybe U2 is a
While
knocked up
while
version of
Andrew's looking
them.
that up, here's a fun story about U2.
Oh,
Before they like
1976.
oh,
So they were out.
before U2 was like became famous, like they promised one of these kids, like some random kid, like, oh yeah, we're gonna play your birthday party a year from now. And this was, but then within that year is when they became super famous, and they still went back and did a concert for that kid at his birthday party,
that's what's up.
and they're like the most famous band in the world at the point. So that's a cool story.
We got a comment in the chat from Tanner. Very helpful. Thank you. It's called "Light the Sky on Fire." Jefferson.
And to mention
Starship.
with that, they also looked like they're holding lightsabers as every instrument, and it looked like they could be lighting their face on fire if it was a
It's
microphone
because they're
lightsaber.
supposed to be holographic.
Yes.
But the technology wasn't quite there, on this budget. By the way, I did learn that this whole thing had a budget of $1 million, which even in 1978 was not a lot of money. So, anyways, so they get done with their song. They play a song, and the whole time, like the Imperial Guard is like tapping his finger, and Zondar is looking at him, and you can tell he's being won over by the music. He's supposed to be all rigid and professional and stuff, but he's smiling and stuff. Anyway, so there's that. Has no significance to the plot other than Jefferson Starship having a cameo and playing a song. And then in an attempt to get Lumpy out of the way, because the captain, the Imperial captain's like, you need to do something with your child. And she sticks him on like a space Game Boy Advance or like a Video Now player or something like that. Anyways, he starts watching.
The most confusing thing about the whole.
That's the most confusing thing, that he watches cartoons.
Because he's watching a cartoon of Luke Skywalker, Leia, Han, Chewie, Boba Fett. Okay, I get the whole point that we're not supposed to take shit, but that is the most confusing, ridiculous thing about the whole show.
No, that is not the most ridiculous thing about the whole show.
How is there a TV show about?
Dude, it's because the people that made this weren't thinking.
They had no idea what they're doing.
They had no idea of what continuity was. Like, these people are just like, let's check off the cartoon box. Let's use all of our favorite characters. Boom. Yep. And no one ever once asked the question, excuse me, this is taking place in the same world.
First of all, you can't tell me that I'm the only person that's ever thought that.
No, you're not, but you're the only person complaining about that when someone literally was watching something in a VR version.
That's more understandable why that would be a thing. This cartoon makes no sense.
It could be rebel propaganda.
True. Actually, yes.
See, if they stated that, then that would have been cool.
They needed to have stated a lot of other things before they stated that.
Yes, that was not. This is like the best part of the whole holiday special.
So there's a cartoon. Chewbacca and Han Solo, they're acting funny, and they fly past the rebel base, and Luke's like, why didn't they stop? So Luke and C-3PO and R2-D2 take a Y-Wing out after them. They crash land on this planet in what looks like a Red Sea.
It's like goopy, like really thick.
Yeah.
It's like slime. And then come out on top like
ketchup.
Yep.
No, ketchup
that's disgusting.
It was more like Jell-O.
Yeah.
Or jelly.
So the gist of the story is that there's a monster that shows up. He tries to eat the Y-Wing. Boba Fett shows up and takes care of the monster for
the first time we've ever seen Boba Fett.
Yep, this was in chronological history the first time anyone outside of the action figure, the promise of the action figure, this was the first time that anybody had ever seen Boba Fett in action. This is the first time they heard his voice, or we don't need to get into that because it ended up changing anyways. But this is like the first experience of Boba Fett that people have. And his armor's not even the right color.
Mm-hmm.
And we did have someone in the chat on Twitch that did say, was I the only one that noticed the similarities in the rifles? Actually, no. That was intentional when they designed Mando's rifle.
Yep.
That was actually a direct callback to this scene, to this rifle.
It actually made that rifle canon.
Yeah.
That's what. So, and like we mentioned earlier, like Jon Favreau actually likes this.
Maybe.
Well, no, he's been on record saying that he enjoys the holiday specials. So, he definitely took
I
that.
mentioned it already.
Yeah, he took that design.
Did you know that Jon Favreau has been on record as saying that he likes the holiday specials?
Okay.
Jeremiah.
I'm going to rage quit this.
Anyways, yes, there is a direct relationship there. Boba Fett in this calls people friend way too much. Come on, friend. Hi, friend. Let's go over here, friend. I hated that.
And here's the thing about this. They got me with this cartoon because they made me think that Boba Fett was a good guy. I was I'm like, oh, because like they didn't know who he was yet, so they didn't know. So it's like, I believed that he was a good guy in this episode, and then we find out, no, he's still a bad guy.
So the plot is that there's this talisman that apparently puts humans to sleep. It's like a sleep virus. And the only way to keep them alive is hanging them upside down so the blood rushes to their heads. And when Boba, Luke, R2, and C-3PO finally make it to the Falcon, Luke is hit with this. So Luke and Han are out of commission because Han was already out of commission. And the whole plot of this cartoon is Boba Fett and Chewie going into the nearest town to get the antidote, which they had already somehow a company had already made a vaccine for this virus. Not only that, but they had marketing materials up in a window for it.
And people hanging upside down.
Yeah.
I think we got to hire these people that made this vaccine to help us with coronavirus.
Yeah. There's actually another mention in this that reminded me of modern day coronavirus. And let's just say, but we'll just keep going. I'll mention it later.
Okay. So while Boba he splits up from Chewie, he's like, let me go get the serum. And while he's going to get the serum, he makes contact with Darth Vader. And it is revealed that he's evil and he's trying to be buddy with the rebels to go back he wants them to take him to their secret base and so that he can expose the rebels and help out Darth Vader. Well, conveniently, while he's on that call, R2-D2 taps into the call by accident, and him and C-3PO just learned that Boba's actually a bad guy. And then when they get back, after they've administered the serum to save Luke and Han, C-3PO is like, actually, sir, Boba Fett is
you forgot the part where Luke just invited Boba to hang out with them on their base.
Yeah. So the one, I guess the criteria to meet to be invited to the rebel base is you just do something nice for Luke. Like, he literally just gives him the serum, and then Luke's like, I'm paraphrasing, but he says something along the lines of, you're a pretty okay guy and a true faithful friend. Let's take you back to the base. And C-3PO is like, whoa.
Hold up.
Actually, no, let's not, because Boba's an evil guy. And then this is my favorite thing. My favorite part of this whole cartoon. Oh, I forgot to mention, he slaps. He's riding a water dragon at the beginning of this thing when he first.
He's abusive to animals. Let's be real. Yeah.
He's so abusive to that thing. He's like, come on, and he just takes his rifle and just slaps it as hard as he can. But my favorite part of this episode is that while R2-D2, C-3PO, all the good guys are having this conversation about Boba, no one's paying attention to Boba. And then when the camera pans, Boba is like very slowly backing out step by step.
Moonwalk.
It's like how someone tries to get out of an awkward conversation.
It's like Tom trying to stalk Jerry, like in a cartoon, like sneak up behind him and capture him, like it was, or whatever.
But the reverse,
right?
It was like
over
it's
the top
like
sneaking.
Immediately though, when I saw that, I was like, this is someone who's trying to get out of an awkward conversation without anybody knowing they're leaving. But he has his gun out too. He's like got his gun pointed at him, but he's like slowly just like, I hope they don't notice. I hope they don't notice. And they turn around. And he's like, until next time, friends. He says friends. And then he turns on his jetpack and just flies out of the Falcon. And that's it. That's all. That's the whole thing. So, anyways, there's a cartoon. There's Boba Fett for the first time, just awkwardly moonwalking out of that conversation. So the cartoon ends. By the way, in the middle of it, it does get interrupted because the Imperial captain is like, "What are you watching?" And he's like, "Oh, it's just." Well, he doesn't say.
Well,
anything.
he doesn't
It's
say
Lumpy,
anything,
but,
so don't give him
but
words.
he's playing. He basically does the equivalent of like swiping up and picking a different screen and swiping back down.
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, it's just a child's game. All right, whatever." So, anyways, then after this cartoon, the Empire tears up Lumpy's room, just tears it apart. And then the captain makes him go clean it up. He's like, that should keep him busy for a while.
And he tears a bath a stuffed animal and takes his head off. How rude.
Yep. They destroy his room. They rip up all his toys and stuff.
Yeah, I feel bad for him.
And then while the Empire is still there, they're there for a really, really long time.
Mm-hmm.
Lumpy's like, well, you know what? I've got something I'll do. I'll make my present. And Lumpy's present happens to be a communicator that looks like a modular synth.
Yeah, it was like a translator communicator machine.
Yeah,
and it was weird because he like opens up like the tutorial
Okay.
to like put it together.
I don't want to talk about this too long, but let's just say
we're not. Okay, so
I don't understand.
It was the worst thing I've ever seen.
This was the worst part. This was the worst part of the whole thing. So the next scene is him. He goes up. He's like, I'm gonna put my communicator together, so maybe I can get a message out or contact my dad or whatever. And so he starts putting this together, and there's like a tutorial disc or card or whatever, and he turns it on. Okay, so this is why we hate this scene so much. The scene is, there's a brief introduction, and then it is the same actor who played the forearm lady earlier being a cyborg or a droid with synth skin or whatever on him, trying to explain how to put this thing together, but the whole time he keeps glitching and pausing and like a robot that is having a malfunction.
I was so confused.
In and of itself, I guess wouldn't be terrible, except for the fact that there's no music, one. Two, they explain that is going to happen. Like at the beginning, the woman that introduces the whole thing, she's like, this might be your first time dealing with this type of machine or this type of android or alien or whatever. She's like, they are known to have glitches, but that should not speak to the quality of our product in a negative way. If anything, it should speak to longevity of our stuff. And I'm like, how does that even make sense? Why do you have a glitchy droid?
Why did we have this scene?
So anyways, it starts, and then I guess this was supposed to be funny, but what it is really cringy because they glitch, and it's him acting like he's glitching on top of them actually pausing and like rewinding and fast forwarding the actual spots too. It's really weird.
It's rough.
That's it. It's there and it's gone, and there's no significance.
It completely malfunctions by the end of the thing, and he doesn't work.
He doesn't finish.
And
yeah, he doesn't finish teaching him.
It ends with him falling down with like his head on the table, and he pushes his head off the table with his finger.
I guess it's supposed to be 1978 comedy, but to me that was the worst part of the holiday special. So then it transitions to them in the living room, and there's a message. There's an Imperial broadcast that comes in on the TV, and the Empire literally says, "Huh?
Required by
it's required. You have to watch this.
You have to watch this."
Yeah. So all the Empire people gather around the TV, Empire included. And then the narrator says, it kind of starts like an episode of Cops. It was very similar. It's like, this is a live broadcast that is intended to be viewed this way, blah, blah, blah. And then the whole premise of this is that they're watching a live stream of a bar, a cantina in Tatooine. And the goal is to show how rough life on Tatooine is so that other people in the Empire will appreciate their standard of living.
It was so.
That's the premise. Like, look at how bad this person has it, so you can feel better about your bad conditions under the Empire. So then we have this Arthur scene, who is one of the Golden Girls, and
R.I.P.
R.I.P. She is Betty White. I'm pretty sure still is the only person that's still alive.
She's like 400 years old and she's still alive.
And she's still funny.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Unlike this
so
scene, but keep going.
B. Arthur is a cantina owner, and it's not the same cantina, but it does look very similar. It's got the same aliens. I'm pretty sure they use some of the same costumes as the ones from The New Hope. So like this one, unlike the circus, they actually had like legit Star Wars alien costumes for this scene. So it actually looked like Star Wars. Like this felt like of all of the stuff to me.
Well,
the most,
until they started talking, but like leading up until that part, it was very like, oh, this is cool. They're playing the cantina music. You got Snaggletooth in the background, the band. Like it felt cool, and then they started talking.
Yeah. So then, this is another thing that you have to remove yourself from the moment and think about what is actually happening. So this guy comes in. His name was, I wrote that down too. Excuse you.
Cuphead.
Krellman.
Cuphead.
Cuphead. His name was Krellman or Cuphead. And he walks up to the bar and he has a flower. And his whole thing is he is professing his love for the cantina owner because she said to him when he was leaving the last time the same thing she says to all the other patrons of this cantina. And it's like, what did she say? It's like,
what was
talk
it?
to you later. I'll be waiting or something. It's like six words.
Come back soon. I can't wait to see you, or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. It's something along the lines of, come back soon. I'll be waiting for you.
Yes, that's what it is. Yep, that's exactly what it is, actually. That was 6 words. Come back soon. I'll be waiting for you.
Right. So he misinterprets that. I'm thinking it reminds me a lot of some of the younger guys at North Central who...
Okay, yep. Just keep talking. Yep. You don't
Anyways,
have to,
so he misinterprets it, and he comes back, and he's in love. And he tries to profess his love for her, and she's like, I'm flattered, but I'm busy, I'm working, like, you're nice and all, but like this is not going to be a thing. And then very quickly you realize that he's
a creeper.
He's a creeper. He goes too far too fast, and at one point he ends up behind the bar behind her with his arms around her, and I'm like, this is actually sexual harassment. Like this isn't funny anymore, because she said, like, dude, no. And he's behind the bar now trying to hug her from behind.
But when he hugged her from behind, was that after she poured a whole pitcher of alcohol?
No. That was before.
Nope, not yet.
Oh,
so the reason why we mentioned Cuphead is because he literally he drinks by pouring stuff into a hole in his head. And then she's like, how about this? It's like a deflection tactic where she's like, okay, how about this? I'll just give you another drink and just come back around here. Let's give you another drink. And she like pours a whole pitcher of alcohol in the hole in his head.
Well, I mean, do we know it's alcohol?
Yes.
No. We just
I would assume so, being a
because it's a
cantina.
bar, but
you don't go to a bar and get a glass of lemonade, like.
Well,
especially if you're tattooing. Like,
sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
The villainy and scum, like.
Yeah. Okay.
I drink lemonade, but I don't hang out on tattooing. So, like.
Well, you're lost, but anyways. We have people in the chat saying coffee? Question mark.
Let me tell you
our
something.
fans called it. Oh.
Let me tell you something. If I were to go to a cantina, I would try to see if they had a specific coffee on the menu.
Mm-hmm. Which coffee would that be?
It just so happens that I would ask for the coffee produced by the second sponsor of today's episode, Wesley Andrews Coffee and Tea. And I think everyone listening should take a quick moment and hear a word about them and why they're so great. So take a listen.
Can I go to the bathroom?
Yeah?
Okay, I'm gonna go to the bathroom.
All right, now we can talk about Drew without him being here. So everyone listening to us on the live chat, start just spamming the thing about what's going on in the bathroom right now. Like, boom, boom, boom. Like, so when he comes back, we can give him a hard time about it. Keep in mind, I can't see the chat right now because.
Yeah. I will tell you, whoever John Piper 22 is, that was very well played. The coffee thing was.
John Piper listens to Empire Radio?
No,
That's
this is the 22nd one.
Well, we don't know what number the most famous John Piper is.
Well, I will tell you that whoever it is did a fantastic job of giving us a segue into that ad. So good job. Also, Tanner says, keep that in the recording. So I'm going to leave out the part where he asks if he can go to the bathroom, but I will for sure put that segue. I'm leaving that segue in there. Well, look who's back.
What does the chat say, Drew? Anything?
Keep that in the recording.
No, there's nothing new.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so Drew, you back? You good?
Feel 10 pounds lighter.
Streamer. Oh, that's sweet. What did you guys talk about when I was gone?
Jeremiah was like, spam the comments about what's going on in the bathroom so we can give Drew a hard time when he gets back.
Oh my gosh. Because you got, I'm a new listener, or new to the live stream, but been listening to the podcast, and it's just a robot face.
Well, thank you. Thank you
John
for
John
jumping
Piper
over.
2020. Or,
Yep.
or
Yeah.
We're
22.
wondering which John Piper that is, but
Yeah.
let's have a little moment of silence so we can edit this.
Oh, yes.
properly.
Well, I was going to say Tanner said, bro, I'm crying. So that's good. I'm glad we're entertaining.
Yes.
At least we're entertaining, you know?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, let's have a quick moment of silence so that editing isn't a nightmare later.
Well,
for
it's
me.
going to be anyways.
Yeah. Trying to figure out the volume levels for this is gonna be fun because we're all over the place tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, yeah. So moment of silence. Yep. Do it.
Do it.
Yep.
Go get a coffee subscription. Check out Wesley Andrews. And here's a reminder that if you wanted a bag of our Rule of Two coffee, so we're done. The first batch is gone.
Sold out.
Yep. That was something that we did in collaboration with the final giveaway that we did with cufflinks.com for the season finale of The Mandalorian. It is special for many reasons, but the most notable is that it is the first blend that Wesley Andrews has ever done. They do not sell blends. And another thing is that it is completely Star Wars themed, hence the name Rule of Two. So it's a really cool way of merging our love for Star Wars with really high quality coffee. If you want some, go to either Facebook or Instagram. I'd rather keep it off YouTube for right now. Facebook or Instagram, and shoot us a direct message that says, hey, I am interested in a bag of the Rule of Two coffee. If you are, the price is $25. And the reason it is more expensive is because one of the two of those beans is like really bougie.
Both of them are pretty bougie, actually, but yeah.
Yeah, it's bougie, like it's high quality coffee. So they are $25 a bag, and we need 14 people to commit to buying a bag before we can roast another batch.
Actually, we only need 7.
We only need 7?
14 would be 2 batches, so we only need 7 more people.
Okay. Well, you heard it here first. We only need 7 more people. If we can get message us, tell us you want a bag. One of us will confirm it, and we'll put you on a list. And then when we get 7 people, Drew will be able to roast another batch. The reason we're not going to just roast right away and then just sell them as people want them is because we don't want to be roasting fresh coffee and then letting it sit for weeks and weeks on end. It's just not as good. It's nowhere near as good.
Yeah. And also
Um,
we will let you know too which number you are. So
Yeah.
and when or if we get up to 7, we'll let you know if we do. If not, we will tell you. But either way, you should go sign up with the monthly subscription. Use our discount code because that gets you a variety of coffee, not just one type of coffee. Unfortunately, it's not the real 2 coffee, but it is other coffee, and you'll enjoy it just as much. So.
Yeah, I did the subscription for a little while. I loved it. You know, I would recommend it to anyone that wants really high quality coffee in their home. And if anyone is asking, just going to go ahead and try to get an FAQ out of the way. Unfortunately, the code does not work for the rule of 2.
No,
it's just for the subscription. So
yes.
Anyways, now that we've had a little coffee break, let's see. Oh yeah.
Lockdown.
So back in the cantina. Golly. Okay, so we still haven't passed this part yet.
Well, I was gonna say I never left the canteen. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
You went to the bathroom, and now you're back. Anyways, so the guy is basically sexually harassing B. Arthur, and
Hardcore.
She gets him on the Arthur.
I said hardcore, but yes.
Oh, I thought you said Arthur, and I was like, yes, Arthur. She gets him on the other side of the bar, and she pours the pitcher of whatever the beverage is in his head, and then he's like, he's like something along the lines of like, come back soon, I'll be waiting, like I'll be waiting for us to talk again or whatever. And she goes to help another customer, and as she's doing this, a customer leaves, and as they're leaving, she says the line, and he hears her say the line, and he just deflates. He realizes in that moment, like, oh, I'm actually not special. This is the thing that she says to everyone. Mm-hmm. So he like puts his head down and puts his hood up and just completely deflates at the bar. But then the TV, this reoccurring like moth admiral character that keeps showing up on the TV shows up. And he's like, hey, Tatooine's a wretched hive of scum and villainy. So we're putting you under martial law or like a curfew. And they don't really explain it. They're just like, there's a bunch of bad people on Tatooine, so we're putting you under a curfew. Everyone needs to go home right now. And so then the plot in this cantina scene becomes her trying to get all the patrons out, and no one is listening to her. Not a single person is like, oh, you know what? I'll respect you. Let's leave.
You know why it was? It's because none of them were drunk enough to listen to her.
Probably.
No, literally, that's what it is.
In a twisted turn of events, they all end up at one point after she tries multiple people to get them to leave, banging their glasses on the tables, wanting more drinks. So she's like, okay, fine. We're going to have one more round. It's on me. Everyone can have a drink, and then you got to go. And everybody's like, yeah. And the band starts playing again. But it's a slowed down version of the cantina theme. It's a slightly slower version. And then she starts singing, and this inevitably becomes a musical number. And the whole song is about her saying goodbye to her friends.
I was just thinking it would be funny if your senior recital, you did this version of the Cantina song rather than the one you did.
When we were doing the live stream, Andrew was like, I kind of missed the opportunity because in the earlier band, when they're playing, there was a sweet guitar solo, and he's like, I'm kind of mad I didn't throw that sick guitar solo in my melody. I'm like,
I missed the opportunity to cover all the music from this in my recital. Honestly, sure. I should have just done them all.
Yeah.
And you would have failed your senior recital. And
yeah.
Damn.
So she starts singing a song, and it's again an entire an entire musical number, and everyone's dancing, and they're all drunk now, and they're getting up and they're dancing basically out the door. She tricks him to get them out the door.
That's what I was saying. Like, they weren't drunk enough, and once she got them drunk enough, she was able to kick them out.
Yeah.
Which I
So
feel
then they
like
leave.
that's like the opposite of normal bars, but anyways, yeah.
So the song,
like a line, isn't it though? Like she tried to do like a line for them to follow
A
her.
conga line is all you said?
yeah, she basically did like a
I
conga line.
guess.
So it wasn't like they just left. Like she
She
made
tricked
him
them.
join the song, by dance, and then walked them out the door.
Yeah.
And then at the end of all this, so the song itself, the instrumentals are the cantina theme. In between the verses of her singing, it's really weird. And then everyone's gone except for Cuphead, and it's just the two of them.
And then it
And the
goes
scene-
black.
That's terrifying.
Yeah. Well, and she dies after that, so
Maybe, but then here's another thing. You step back, okay? Let's put this into context. This is a live stream, so when that announcement came out from the Empire about the curfew, it went on both TVs, the TV in the cantina and the TV in Kashyyyk, at Kashyyyk in the house that they're watching it on. It was real time.
well, yeah.
They were watching a live stream of this happen. They were watching a live stream of her being harassed. They watched the whole musical number, and then they were watching the live stream when it ended, and it was just the two of them in the bar.
Well, and like it was like, hey, watch this planet and how horrible, and this could happen to you, but you're lucky that we're not doing this to you guys. And then in the middle of it, they're like, hey, we're shutting this planet down, and this could be you next if you don't, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Like, it was
Anyways.
so weird.
So that's it. And then the next thing we see, Lumpy is trying to send a fake message to the remaining stormtroopers that are in the house, because some of them left, and there were a few stormtroopers left. He's like, stay here to see if any of the rebels come back here. And Lumpy tries to send a fake, like, return to base message.
Which is smart of him, because that's the reason why he wanted to put his toy together, because he wanted to transmit a message from the Empire, cloaking as the Empire, to like leave. Which
that was one of the most thought through. Yeah, one of the most thought through points of this whole thing.
Because
and then it doesn't work,
like electronics and stuff. So like it's interesting that
Okay, Jeremiah once again trying to make this real. His dad's good at electronics, so he is. Okay, Jeremiah.
So the stormtrooper goes up there and finds him, and then breaks it, and chases Lumpy down the stairs. He's like, "Hey, quit doing that." But then, as Lumpy's trying to run away, Han and Chewie show up. Finally, Chewie takes care of one of them, and then, in my opinion, the lamest death this is even lamer than Boba Fett's end in Return of the Jedi. One of the stormtroopers chases them out onto the balcony. Jeremiah's laughing. Chases them out onto the balcony, and Han Solo shows up and I guess spooks him. And then he drops his blaster, and in trying to pick up his blaster, he trips over a log and falls off the edge to his death. The stormtrooper literally.
But the thing is, Han tries to fake go for the gun.
Yeah.
But it's like he juked a guy standing still, and he tripped standing still.
Yeah, it was
that's so true.
It was weird.
He just falls. He falls to his death.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's it. And then they go in, and they have this nice moment where they're together. They're together again.
Yeah.
There is this really poorly acted line from Harrison Ford where he's like, "You guys are like family to me." But to be fair, here's another little side fact. None of the people involved in this, none of them enjoyed it. None of them.
Yeah.
Like, I reread the part of the C-3PO autobiography by Anthony Daniels that I have before this about this special, and he was like, in that last scene that we'll talk about in a bit, where they're all three of them are on stage at one time and Carrie Fisher singing,
The one
he
that's
was like,
behind your head right now.
they very, very clearly were like huddling together for moral support. Like he was like, nobody enjoyed this. Nobody did. So to be fair, the acting really isn't their fault.
True. That's true.
But so Han and Chewie, you know, they have their moment with the family and it's touching, I guess. And then Han leaves because he has to get back to the rebellion. Then Zondan shows up and he comes back, right? He left.
Yeah, he left and then comes.
Chewie goes to the door with his bowcaster thing.
Bowcaster, yeah. Because he thinks it's the Empire. And then Zondan's there. And Zondan's like, yo, what's up, Chewie? And then another message comes out from this Admiral Moff guy, and he's like, we're looking for Trooper B4711. And like, when has the Empire been like, hey, we're just one guy. He didn't show up.
That was like my first comment. I'm like, so when has the Empire ever cared about any of their own people?
Right.
Ever.
So they're looking for him, and Zondan gets on the line, and he lies, and he's like, yeah, so he actually, once the other troopers left, he actually stole a bunch of stuff and ran for the hills with the stuff that he stole. And then the guy from the Empire is like, that's too bad. We're going to send out a search party for him. And I'm like, seriously? That's it? Also, they need to go move the body. The dude is literally,
there's a body right outside their door.
Yeah, they have the body down on the ground just outside of their tree. So they should probably go do that. But he tricks them. And then things get really weird. So they get out their life day orbs, which are like
a holiday candle coming together.
Kind of look like snow globes
thing.
Sure. Okay. So it looks like a glowing snow globe. That's fine. But then they get transported into space.
Yeah.
And they're wearing what looked like red cult robes.
It didn't look like it is. I'm going to say it is.
Video right now of...
Yeah, move your head to the right.
Yeah.
And or left.
It's that red robe. And there's the orb that he's holding in his hand.
No,
and look how he's like 10 feet taller than Carrie Fisher. It's just...
So think about a bunch of really tall Wookiees in these robes. I mean, it's like straight out of a cult. So anyways, they're in space, and then you see a bunch of Wookiees walking into this like big shining portal, star-looking thing. And then when they come out of it, they're by like the tree of life or whatever, and there's a bunch of Wookiees, and R2-D2 and C-3PO are standing on a platform in front of them all, and C-3PO says something along the lines of, R2 and I wish that we could be real so that we could feel your feelings with you. And it's funny, in the book, Anthony Daniels like, that's absurd. C-3PO definitely has feelings, and when would he ever want to actually be a Wookiee instead of a droid? I was like, you know?
Yeah.
I thought that was really funny. But then Leia and Luke and Han show up right out of nowhere. It's actually the exact opposite. So it was flipped in the special from what is on my background if you're watching. So Luke is in his original outfit. Han is also in his original outfit from A New Hope. Leia is in her original outfit from A New Hope.
So they haven't changed since episode
4.
No. They went back and put back on their own clothes. Because even Han, when he was in the tree house, he was wearing different clothes.
Yeah, Luke was in a flight suit earlier, and then he changed. But then
Leia has her space buttons too.
Huh?
Leia has her space buttons.
Oh yeah. So then music starts, and Carrie Fisher sings a song, the final musical number.
I didn't even know she could sing.
Me either.
She has a good voice.
It was fine.
Oh, interesting.
So, sure, it wasn't bad. The fact that they tied in the Star Wars theme motifs into it was really
pretty
cheesy.
Cool. I liked it.
Okay.
It was better than what we were getting
from the book, where Anthony Daniels talks about how the only person she had a headphone in at one point that helped her hear the orchestra track. No one else had that.
Oh,
So imagine being on
Lord.
stage, being on set, a bunch of quiet people, and then Carrie Fisher's just singing with no music. And he was like, her voice sounded so thin and exposed because like they didn't have the
Yeah.
context of the actual music.
Well,
And so he
that
was like, yeah,
explains Han Solo's face behind you.
yeah. Excuse me. But he was like, yeah, she powered through it and she did it.
But
So they
kinda
sing the
reminds
Life Day song.
reminds me of like, have you seen the edit of like the ceremony at the end of where they edit out the music and just people coughing and like how awkward it is? Like,
Yeah.
thing.
So she ends up singing, and while she's singing, there's like or maybe it's after she gets done. I don't remember, but there's like scenes from A New Hope, like flashbacks
Yeah.
from A New Hope that
Having
span.
a flashback of it, yeah.
Huh?
Chewie having a flashback of like, these scenes. Like he's remembering what was
Right.
going
Yeah.
through.
And then after the musical number, the last thing we see is Chewie and his family sitting around at the dinner table with their orbs in the middle of the table, and they're eating, and then they bow their heads to pray, I guess, and then it ends.
Honestly, the flashback scenes of A New Hope was the best part of the whole thing.
So there you have it. I was hoping it was going to be a lot shorter than it was, but of course, with the source material we're working with, nope. So there you have it. That was our plot walkthrough of the Star Wars Holiday Special. So I must ask you both.
No, you don't. Don't even.
What'd you think?
It was unbearable. Here's the thing. Like, we didn't talk about it yet, but Lumpy's Wookiee voice was the most terrible.
Just say what you want to say, Jeremiah.
Have you seen the videos of like the goats that would scream?
Yeah.
Same thing, and that's how but it's not just that sound. It's done in like if the goat is screaming in a complaining voice the whole time.
Yeah, it's rough.
It's just the most annoying thing, and you have to go sit through it for like half this movie is just him doing it, and it was just. I'm like, I didn't want to finish it, but like I know I had to for this, and I did it for you fans, okay? I did it for you.
Jeremiah.
Suffered.
Honestly, like, I don't know if any of you listeners or viewers or whatever you want to be, if you've watched Avatar: The Last Airbender, the movie live action, when I saw that for the first time, I was like, this has been the worst thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And then I saw The Last Jedi, and then I saw this. And that's all I need to say. But it was fun. It was a fun experience with Andrew. I feel bad for Jeremiah for not experiencing it with us.
Right.
Because I feel like he would have appreciated it a little bit more. Because it's kind of like a thing. And maybe, Jeremiah, you should just go. I was going to say maybe Jeremiah will go back and just watch us watch it. But there's no way he would. But, yeah.
Jeremiah, I did make a note when we were watching this earlier that all of the Wookiees like making noises together in that end scene was terrifying. It was actually terrifying.
It was weird.
I think I was so exhausted watching it. I don't even remember that part of it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we can relive it. Really?
Oh.
Okay.
Next year.
Yeah, I would say from myself, put this in the same category that I do Avatar: The Last Airbender,
The
and
live action.
the Super Mario. Huh?
The live action. You have to say that.
Yeah. Yeah, the
Peeps.
live action. M. Night Shyamalan's Airbender and the Super Mario Brothers movie.
I've never seen that, but I've seen
Here's the thing,
clips,
like,
and I can't.
There are movies that are so terrible that you love to watch it because it's so terrible. This is worse than that, where you don't want to watch it.
This
again.
might be one of those things for me.
And
I like it for the laughs.
Yeah.
I'll for sure rewatch this next year for Christmas.
Yeah, I think I will too. Like it is like that for me. Like next year, me and Andrew will sit down, we'll live stream it again. We'll talk about it. We probably won't do another podcast episode breakdown of it.
No.
But me and Andrew will have fun with the fans watching it.
But but here's something that you want to make note. Maybe we can end on this high note, I guess. If you really think about the overall plot of the movie, it's actually like they could actually take that plot and actually make it into a real movie, and it would be good. Where Chewie is trying to get home to be with his family for a cultural holiday, but like the Empire is keeping that from happening. And I think it would be a cool, like they could do like a 1 hour special of this story and get rid of all the corny stuff and make it a real movie, and it'll be a good plot to have for a story where it's like someone in a rebellion trying to sneak home to be with their family just for like one day, and then they get back to the rebellion. It would be.
Have you seen that movie I'll Be Home for Christmas?
No.
I was gonna say they could literally make a Christmas movie about someone trying to get home for Christmas, but it's Star Wars.
Like
I was gonna say now, Jeremiah. The real question is, the holiday special or the Lego holiday special? Which one do you?
Holiday special is way better than this.
All right.
This is probably the worst visual thing I've ever seen in my entire life. It's not good.
Wait, have you ever seen Bible Man?
Hey, I like Bible Man. Okay.
I remember Bible Man from when I was a kid because
Dude, you go back and watch those now. It is rough.
Oh, I bet.
brother would always.
But I used to binge Bible Man, dude.
I don't remember watching it, but I remember like this Drew's family like.
We used to watch it. But this was fun. It was a fun experience, and I hope the listeners enjoy our conversation. I know our chat really did, and they enjoyed it.
All right.
Yeah.
But I'm tired. I need to go to bed.
All right, yeah, listeners out there, what do you think of the holiday special? If you've seen it, let us know on our social media accounts at Drew.
At Empire Radio, a podcast.
No.
Yep.
Empire Podcast. Yep.
Yes. And that's on Facebook and Instagram. You can also find us on YouTube, which is what, Jeremiah?
Empire Radio, a Star Wars podcast.
Yes. So go check out that. You can also find us on Twitch for live podcasts weekly on twitch.tv/Empire Radio, one word. And come enjoy the podcast live if you prefer that.
Yeah, we normally try to go live on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern.
Yes.
And then, when we get more show-related content, we'll be doing episodes again around the release of whatever content that is.
Yes. And next week's episode, I think, boys, are we tearing apart season 2 of The Mandalorian, the whole thing? Was that the plan? No one's talking.
I don't know.
We may do an episode ranking.
Stay tuned for an announcement on next week's episode.
Yeah.
All right, boys.
Cool. All right. Well, everyone, you have been listening to another episode of the Empire Radio Podcast. I'm Andrew.
I'm Jeremiah.
I'm Drew.
And may the Force be with you.
Oh.